Not every rap album is a classic. For every Illmatic, there's an I'm Not a Human Being too. Some albums are so bad they make you question how they ever left the studio, let alone hit shelves. Welcome to Fake Famous, the home for hip hop deep dives, beef breakdowns, and brutally honest album explainers. If you love rap but also love calling out the nonsense, you're in the right spot. Today, we're breaking down the worst rap albums of all time. The albums that made fans go, nah, he trippin'. Maybe the concept was trash. Maybe the beats sounded like iPhone ringtones. Or maybe someone just needed to be told, bro, don't drop this. We've got flops from legends who should have known better. And train wrecks from artists who never had it in the first place. And before y'all get mad in the comments, just know this comes from love. Tough love. Hit that subscribe button, drop a like, and let me know in the comments. What's the worst rap album you ever heard? Let's get into it. Darker 1. Can I borrow $1? Common, 1992. Yeah, we're starting off spicy. Common is a certified legend, one of the most respected lyricists in the game. But this debut? Whew, it was rough. Released in 1992, Can I Borrow $1? Sounded like a dude still trying to figure out who he was. Common, back then going by common sense, was rapping in this weird squeaky voice like he hadn't hit puberty yet, half cartoon character, half stand-up comic. The flows? Offbeat. The energy? Chaotic. He'd cram way too many syllables into a bar, then rush to catch up like he tripped on the beat. And the beats? Classic dusty boom bap, but without any real direction. It felt like he raided Pete Rock's leftovers and tossed random loops together. Lyrically, he had moments. You could tell the skill was buried under the clutter. But the charisma, the poise, the grown man presence we'd later hear on Resurrection or Like Water for Chocolate, nowhere in sight. This wasn't a fully formed artist. It was a talented kid talking fast over demo tape instrumentals. It had that open mic night at your cousin's high school energy. To be fair, every legend's gotta start somewhere. But Can I Borrow $1? Ain't the foundation you build a legacy on. It's the project you quietly delete off streaming if you're lucky. Common got better, way better. But this one? Go ahead and leave it in the vault. 2. Rebirth. Lil Wayne, 2010. Lil Wayne dropped Rebirth thinking he was the next Kurt Cobain. And look, Wayne is a rock star. But not like this. This wasn't genre-bending brilliance. This was auto-tune overdose over Guitar Hero instrumentals. He traded punchlines for power chords, metaphors for mosh pits, and the results. Man. Even Hot Topic was like, nah, we good. Tracks like Prom Queen and On Fire felt like an identity crisis on wax. It was like Wayne put on some skinny jeans, smoked a Newport, and said, yo, I'm Travis Barker now. And instead of Thaw Carter, we got Rebirth, a midlife crisis disguised as an album. The production? Clunky. The hooks? Shaky. And lyrically? Wayne was just yelling, bro. We went from best rapper alive to best lead singer of a garage band no one asked for. Even diehard fans were confused. Wayne had just dropped Thaw Carter 3, a classic, and then pivoted to this? It felt like someone dared him to sabotage his own legacy. To be fair, Wayne was experimenting, but Rebirth wasn't an experiment. It was a science fair disaster. Test tubes exploded. Nobody won a ribbon. Look, legends stumble. But this wasn't a stumble. This was Wayne showing up to a rap battle with a skateboard and a guitar solo. Rebirth wasn't just a swing and a miss. It was Wayne swinging in the wrong sport. We love you, Wheezy. But this one? Yeah, keep it locked in the vault with your truck fit catalogs. 3. I Wanna Thank Me. Snoop Dogg, 2019. Snoop Dogg is a walking hip-hop monument. He survived the death row era, reinvented himself a dozen times, and made gospel and reggae albums without losing a step. But I Wanna Thank Me? This one felt like he didn't even thank the engineer. Dropped in 2019, this album had 22 tracks, and maybe 6 of them had any real replay value. No theme, no story, just vibes, and not even the good kind. It's like Snoop hit shuffle on his hard drive, tossed every leftover track into a playlist, and said, yeah, press upload. The production was all over the place. 1 minute it's smooth G-funk, the next it sounds like a ringtone beat from 2009. And the bars? It felt like Snoop wrote them during commercial breaks on The Price is Right. Lazy metaphors, recycled cadences, and more talking than rapping. At one point, it felt like he forgot he was making an album. Don't get it twisted. Snoop's charisma is undefeated. He could read a recipe and still make it sound cool. But even charisma needs a good beat and a reason to care. Fans weren't mad, just disappointed. Because when you're a hip-hop legend, mediocrity hits harder. This didn't feel like an artistic statement. It felt like a contract obligation. Even the title, I Want to Thank Me, set us up for something bold, celebratory, legacy-defining. Instead, we got a bloated playlist of half-baked verses and forgettable hooks. Cut this album down to 10 tracks, maybe there's something salvageable. But 22, that's a full Thanksgiving plate with no seasoning. Snoop, we love you. But this one, we're gonna pretend it was a mixtape and move on. Number 4, Testimony, Ace Hood, 2014. Ace Hood was supposed to be next up, signed to DJ Khaled, body like a linebacker, voice like he just finished yelling at someone at Waffle House. And with hits like Bugatti, it felt like he finally found his lane. But Testimony, man, it took a hard left. This was supposed to be his I'm more than a banger rapper moment, his Meek Mill's dreams and nightmares phase. Instead, we got an album that couldn't decide what it wanted to be. It was spiritual 1 second, street the next, then suddenly we're deep in motivational speaker mode. 1 minute he's talking about prayer, the next it's pistols and pain, and right after that he's telling you to drink water and chase your dreams. It's like he tried to squeeze an entire TED Talk into a trap beat. Now to be fair, the production wasn't bad. The beats knocked. Hooks were clean. Sonically, it was decent. But lyrically, it felt like he was reading inspirational Instagram captions in between reps at the gym. There's nothing wrong with being vulnerable in rap. We love that. But this didn't feel like evolution. It felt like a rebrand forced by an A&R who said, "Yo Ace, show them you got depth, dog. Cry on the hook or something." And instead of coming off real, it came off awkwardly calculated, like he was trying to prove he had more to say, but didn't believe it himself. The emotion was there, but it wasn't grounded. The hunger that made us root for him in tracks like Hustle Hard, nowhere to be found. By the end of Testimony, fans weren't inspired. They were just confused. Ace Hood had the tools, energy, delivery, presence. But this album was like watching a powerful speaker with no script. It wasn't the worst rap album ever made. But for someone who had next-level potential, this one felt like a step backwards dressed up as growth. Warzatrai, RZO, Jarkstra 5, Universal Mind Control, Common, again, 2008. Yeah, he's back. Common makes the list twice, which is wild for a guy who gave us Resurrection and B, but Universal Mind Control, that album felt like watching your deep, soulful uncle try to dance at a rave. Let's set the stage. It's 2008. Common links up with Pharrell and the Neptunes, decides to ditch the conscious jazz rap lane, and instead goes full electro space funk cyber club mode. And it did not go well. The beats weren't terrible. Pharrell brought some bounce, but the whole thing sounded like leftover glow in the dark tour ideas Kanye passed on. And Common? He rapped like he was trying to be cool with his daughter's college friends. Just pure midlife crisis energy. The title track, Universal Mind Control, felt like Daft Punk got food poisoning and made a beat on GarageBand. It's got robot voices, weird synths, and Common awkwardly yelling like he's doing a club promo at 3 a.m. It's not that experimenting is bad, artists should evolve, but this wasn't evolution. This was a full-blown identity transplant. Gone was the depth, the poetry, the soul. In its place, lines about dancing, girls, and futuristic nonsense that didn't even sound fun, let alone good. It's the kind of album that made fans check their headphones, then check the track list, then check to make sure this wasn't a parody. Like, yo, is this the same guy who made The Light? Common thrives when he's vulnerable, reflective, and grounded, not when he's trying to do bottle service bars in Tron's VIP section. Even he later admitted this album was a misstep. And look, we all have experimental phases, but Universal Mind Control wasn't just a detour. It was like watching Gandhi try to DJ a rave. Common, we love you, but let's never speak of this one again. 6, The Big Day, Chance the Rapper, 2019. Ah yes, the infamous I Love My Wife album. After Acid Rap and Coloring Book, fans were ready to crown Chance as the next great hope of hip-hop. But instead of bars, we got bridal energy. Instead of soul, we got Target gift registry vibes. The Big Day was supposed to be a celebration of love and marriage. Instead, it sounded like Chance tried to turn his wedding vows into a mixtape. Every bar felt like it came straight from a couples therapy icebreaker, like he was rapping with a smile way too big and a marriage counselor just off camera nodding in approval. The production, all over the place. Bloated, cluttered, overdone. It felt like every beat had 5 outros and 3 intros. There were like 25 tracks, and it still felt like it had no direction. It was like a playlist that accidentally got uploaded as an album. And the features, completely out of sync. DaBaby, Nicki Minaj, En Vogue, Randy Newman. It was like Chance spun a wheel of guests and just said yes to everybody. Now look, we're not mad at happiness. Not every rap album has to be trauma and toxicity. But this wasn't joyful, it was preachy. It felt like Chance was yelling, "Be in love like me," every 2 bars. We get it, bro. You love your wife. But we didn't need 77 minutes of musical PDA. The real issue? There was no edge, no tension, no hunger. It was like Chance locked himself in a Hobby Lobby with a microphone and said, "I'm gonna make the happiest album ever made." And he did. But nobody asked for that. Fans were confused. Critics were confused. Even Chance himself later said he was going through some stuff, and you can hear it. Not in pain, but in the overcompensation. This wasn't an album. It was a Pinterest board in audio form. The Big Day wasn't the worst album of all time, but it was the biggest fall from grace in a minute. And it proved that while love is beautiful, it might not always slap. 7. I Am Not a Human Being 2. Lil Wayne, 2013. Yup, Wayne's back on the list. And listen, we love Wheezy, one of the most influential rappers of his generation. But I Am Not a Human Being 2? This was peak autopilot Wayne, like full-blown cruise control with the seat reclined and no hands on the wheel. This album felt like it was assembled in a group chat. No cohesion, no sequencing, no direction. Just 15 songs that sounded like they were pulled from an old hard drive labeled "Stuff I Never Finished." Let's talk about the bars. Remember when Wayne was the punchline king? Here we get lines like, "She got a butt tattoo" that say, "I love duck." Sir, what are we doing? Half the verses sounded like they were written mid-blunt with no intention of being released. Corny sex bars, lazy metaphors, and a lot of lines that felt straight up recycled from his dedication or no ceilings days. Now, to be fair, Wayne can still rap. There were flashes of brilliance. Rich as Furrow, certified banger. Gunwalk, hard. But 2 good songs on a 15-track album? That's a bad shooting percentage, even for G League Wayne. The beats weren't terrible, just uninspired. It's like the producers got an email that said, "Wayne needs something fast, don't overthink it." And that's the problem. Everything about this project felt lazy. It didn't sound like an album, it sounded like a mixtape that missed the quality check. Even the cover art was confusing. A red moth? A Rorschach test? What are we even doing here? At a time when Wayne was being questioned after the hype of Carter 3 and the mixed reactions to Carter 4, this album should have been a statement. Instead, it felt like a throwaway, a bloated, directionless playlist that only made his critics louder. Wayne dropped so much music during this era, but I Am Not a Human Being 2 was the breaking point for a lot of fans. Quantity over quality was catching up, and this album was Exhibit A. Wheezy's still a GOAT, no debate. But this? This was the moment where even diehards were like, maybe he is human after all. Honorable mentions before we wrap this up. A few more audible crimes deserve a shout out. Nas, Nostradamus. We love Nas, but this was the one that made fans say, "Yo, is Nas okay?" The beats sounded like clearance rack Timbaland knockoffs. And even Nas, usually sharp and focused, sounded bored, like he was reading his bars off a lunch menu. This wasn't prophecy. It was prophecy gone wrong. Canibus. See True, Hollywood Stories. Canibus is one of the most technical rappers ever, but here, he decided to drop a concept album as Stan from Eminem's song. Yes, the fictional character. It was like watching a genius do interpretive dance with no music. Concept? Weird. Execution? Worse. It sounded like performance art with head trauma. Silkk, the Shocker. Made Man. Silkk might be the only rapper who consistently raps off beat on purpose. Made Man sounded like he recorded his verses while the beat played in another room. It's offbeat, off rhythm, and straight up off-putting. But hey, if you ever need a laugh, throw this one on. It's an unintentional comedy album at this point. Look, even the GOATs drop duds. Sometimes it's label pressure, sometimes it's ego, and sometimes it's just bad timing and worse beats. But that's the beauty of hip-hop. The highs are legendary. The lows, memorable for all the wrong reasons. And these albums, they remind us just how rare consistency really is. So before you roast these artists too hard, just know, every career has its L's. Some just came with deluxe editions. Let us know in the comments, what's the worst rap album you ever heard? The one that made you pause the song and reevaluate your entire playlist? And don't forget, subscribe to Fake Famous for more rap breakdowns, beef explainers, and hip hop history with no sugarcoating. We got more heat coming. Catch y'all next time.